You know what? I really do hate the media, and more specifically, CNN. And maybe they're the absolute worst right now, considering mainstream race baiter Joy Reid and Don Lemon are unemployed. Now you got these folks over here at CNN picking up the slack.
Kara, really remarkable details in terms of describing. I mean, let's be honest, those photos were first consumption on social media.
Sure,
right?
That's what they're designed for.
Which you are, of course, an expert on. He said, look, they made a mistake. If we'd actually taken a drink of those margaritas, there would have been a little indentation in that line of salt.
Right. Well, this is where we are, right? Chuck and I were just saying that. And the thing is, this is where we are, because everything is done in these narratives and these reductive narratives. Look, they were drinking and hanging out and partying. And so it's really important that he did say that we did not drink these. One of the things the Democrats don't do as well is understand the reductive nature of information right now, and therefore they have to push back. We didn't drink the drinks. This is not Margaritaville, et cetera, et cetera. And so I thought it was good for him to explain what the situation was. It doesn't matter. There'll be a conspiracy theory about it anyway.
Yeah, and so yeah, here you can see, this is why he was referencing it. It's a little hard to even see, but it's the.
But
one
I
with
see what
the
he's
little,
talking about. You
right,
see,
the
there's
cherry.
there's no.
Yeah, this is
right.
what we're doing.
And
we're expert.
We need to take
margarita
that big again. I'm sorry, Julian. If we could get the whole, there we go.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see, and again, Van Hollen was saying that rim. He wasn't sure if it was salt or it was sugar. The President Bukele referenced them as margaritas. They don't really appear to be that way, at least the way we know them here in the U.S. But again, Van Hollen noting you can't see this. I mean, Mo, to this broader point, I mean, this is where we are. I will say there was some criticism of Van Hollen for these optics. He clearly felt like he needed to clear it up, right?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. I appreciate you guys stopping by. And we're going to have a little bit of a back porch chat real quick. This video, I've got a lot that I want to share with you, a continuation of story and dialogue that we have been having here recently, including the mainstream media, their hypocrisy, their lies, their desperation. Additionally, we're going to talk more about Senator Chris Van Hollen, the MS-13 deported illegal, El Salvador, some margaritas, some Margaritagate. Then also we need to talk about Carmelo Anthony. What a disaster, and quite possibly the absolute end of his defense case trial before it has even started. They really effed around, and they are really about to find out, folks. And I want you guys to find out more, not only about those, but so much more, in addition to reading comments from you guys. And look, we're going to read the good, we're going to read the bad, we're going to read the ugly, we're going to read everything in between. And I'm going to give you my honest take, opinion, response, reaction, commentary, and whatnot to it all. And then we'll come back to this clip that Devori Darkins posted on X with CNN grasping for straws here. I know how much you guys dislike and loathe hearing from the left and this leftist, liberal, deep state media operative. So I'll spare you guys what you don't like and give you more of what you do want now, and then we'll come back to this crap later. How's that sound? Is that a deal? If that's a deal, hit the like button. I am Monica57 says, I just called Chapter. They were very knowledgeable and assisted me in finding a plan that helped me get a plan that takes care of medical care and helped me save $77 per month back on my check. Thank you. And yes, I told them Kevin sent me. Kathleen Rutherford says, I love your channels. I must say it's annoying to watch your videos with that massive Chapter ad on your screen, then constantly talking about them. Is this going to be every video? And if I may, allow me to show you guys my YouTube analytics. This is the back end of the YouTube channel. You guys may have seen this screen before, but this one in particular is the audience tab. And I think that this is really important, especially in developing the dialogue of this conversation and discussion. And it's not the only factor, but it is one contributing. And as you guys can see here, we do have 38% female, nearly 62% male, 0.4% user specified. Not sure what that really means, but as we focus in, hone in down here, as you guys can see, collectively, nearly 75% of my audience is over the age of 55. 40% 65 plus. And so I would say that talking about Medicare and more importantly, free Medicare help and chapter, our partner chapter offering free consultations that not only are very helpful and beneficial, simplifying a very confusing and complex process, have already proven to be successful with the comments that you guys are leaving on these videos. So, number one, yes, let's not forget, we mustn't forget, this is my channel. That's number one. Number two, I want to help people. And that's what I'll continue to do. Kevin, George Long 6571 says, don't worry about what the haters have to say. Those people carry this hate with them from the moment they get up to the moment they go to bed. Roger Stubbs, he said, or better yet asked, how is chapter funded? And as I've told you guys before, I can't wait to read all your comments. With that, I hope to bring you guys answers to the questions that you have. This one in particular, with many more to follow. Business Week just posted this just a few days ago. A MAGA-backed AI healthcare unicorn attracts an unlikely coalition. Startup chapter, our partner chapter here, co-founded by Vivek Ramaswamy and previously backed by Peter Thiel and JD Vance, just closed a VC round valuing it at $1.5 billion. That's a venture capitalist round valuation, $1.5 billion. Oh man, but wait, because there's more. And there's so much more you're not going to want to miss. So stay tuned, folks. And DW5783's comment reads, hi, Kevin. Here in California, you can have both Medicare and Medicaid, which is a whole other brand of crazy. I'm on SSDI disability, so I need medical care. I have several medical specialists with several medications to manage my chronic health issues. I have a college degree, and neither the Medicare nor Medicaid stuff makes any sense whatsoever. And the fact that the powers that be change the qualifying numbers constantly is extremely stressful. If you know anything about SS, SSI, or SSDI, you would know the income rarely changes from month to month. I have lost my Medicaid coverage a few times because they say my income is too much. But did I get a raise and did not notice? Hell no. So this is how it goes. I love where I live. It is home. Dumb bureaucrats are everywhere, and it's so disheartening, the decisions that they are making that put the people, us, deeper and deeper into disparity. All right, picture this. Folks, grab a seat because I'm about to tell you a story that'll make your blood boil and your heart cheer all at the same time, all at once. It's the story of a son who watched his own parents get fleeced by a shady Medicare broker. And instead of just shaking his fists at the system, he rolled up his sleeves and built a company to fight back. This is a story of Kobe Blumenfeld Gantz and how Chapter Medicare came to be, a tale of family, betrayal, and a mission to save seniors from getting ripped off. So imagine Kobe, a sharp young guy watching his parents hit that Medicare age. They're good people, worked hard their whole lives, saved up for retirement, ready to enjoy their golden years. But then comes the Medicare maze, paperwork piling up, deadlines looming, and a slick talking broker promising to handle it all. Sounds like a lifeline, right? Wrong. This broker wasn't there to help. He was there to cash in. He pushed Kobe's parents into overpriced plans that didn't even fit their needs. Plans that cost them thousands more than they should have paid. And for what? So this guy could pocket a fat commission while Kobe's parents were left holding the bag, stressed out, confused, and out of pocket. Now, let me tell you folks, this wasn't just a bad day at the office. This was personal. Kobe saw his parents, his own flesh and blood, nearly miss critical enrollment deadlines, drowning in fine print and getting scammed by a system that's supposed to protect our seniors, not prey on them. It was a wake-up call. Kobe realized this wasn't just his parents' problem. This was happening to millions of Americans, good folks like you. and getting taken for a ride by an industry riddled with conflicts of interest and where too many brokers care more about their paycheck than your health care. But here's where the story gets even better, gets real good. Kobe didn't just sit there fuming. He said, enough is enough. And in 2020, he co-founded Chapter Medicare with a fire in his belly and a promise to do better.
I think about it a little bit differently writ large. I think that every person at the company is creating culture every day, whether we mean to or not. It's just like it happens. Like we're a collection of humans. And so that's what a culture is. It's how humans act together.
He wasn't going to let another senior get conned like his parents did. Chapter isn't your run-of-the-mill Medicare broker, folks. Oh, no. They're like these superheroes of Medicare. They search every Medicare plan out there, over 24,000 of them across the whole country, to find the one that's right for you. And get this, they'll even recommend plans that pay them nothing if it's the best fit. And why is that? Because Kobe built this company on principle, not profit. And Chapter's advisors are there for you year round, not just when you sign up. And they'll hold your hand through enrollment, fight for your prior authorizations, even track down in-network doctors so you're not stuck with surprise bills. And the best part, it's free.
To me, the returns are pretty obvious. Like it comes in people making better decisions faster. It comes in being able to recruit a better team. It comes in, when you have good people, you can build better things, you can solve more problems.
It is entirely free, 100% free for you. And they get paid by the insurance companies. But unlike those shady brokers, their advisors aren't incentivized to push one plan over another. It's all about what's right for you. Kobe made sure of that because he never forgot how it felt to see his parents get taken advantage of.
I'm heavily involved, even when we're doing things like how do we set up different meetings and prioritization structures? How do we do quarterly planning? How do we do, how do I engage with the team, give feedback? Like it's the difference between massive failure and massive success.
And this isn't just a business, folks. It's a crusade. Kobe's out there calling out the industry's dirty tricks, even testifying before the Senate in 2023 to shine a light on deceptive marketing that's been fleecing our seniors for too long. And Chapter's growing fast, $75 million raised this year alone, valued at $1.5 billion because people are fed up with the old way of doing things. They want someone in their corner, someone who's got their back like Kobe had his parents. So the next time you or someone you love is wrestling with Medicare, think about Kobe's story. Think about a son who turned his family's nightmare into a mission to protect millions. And that's Chapter Medicare, folks. A company born from a scam that tried to break a family, but instead sparked a revolution. Spread the word.
But if you do think you need good people to build an amazing company, this is kind of the only way to do it.
So spread the word because every senior deserves a fighter like Kobe on their side.
And in the clip with a straight face, he says that, quote, Kyle Rittenhouse was caught on video shooting 3 people in the back, and he still got off on self-defense.
And speaking of having a strong fighter on your side, Carmelo Anthony and his mom and his legal defense team absolutely does not. And this guy's name is Dominique Anthony, I think. No, it's not. It's Dominique. What is this guy's name? Dominique Alexander. Easily forgotten. Hopefully a name that I can forget soon, because this case is actually, this trial really, I think, is over. And it hasn't even gotten started yet. Perhaps maybe it was over the moment Carmelo Anthony decided to stab Austin Metcalf in the chest, in the heart, and kill him, and then run away from these actions and this crime, and then tell the cop as he was being arrested that, yes, I'm not alleged. I did it. I did that shit. I killed that other kid. And we've already heard some ridiculous justifications here, whether it be being bullied or self-defense, or now the weather. They're blaming it on the weather. And honestly, I got to tell you guys, one of the worst parts about it is not just listening to Dominique Alexander here confess to the world that he's a complete freaking moron. More on him, more on that in just a second. But sadly, watching Carmelo Anthony's mother in the background, not knowing what she doesn't know. Just blankly standing there, staring there, not even realizing how awful the optics are on this press conference, for which, since when do the attackers hold press conferences to come off and appear as though they're the victim? Give me a freaking break here. But either way, we're going to go through this, and we're going to go through a whole lot more. So bear with me here, folks. Stick with me until the end because we're going places. But really and truly, let's be honest here. No one here cares about Austin Metcalf. No one here cares about upholding the law, due process, the Constitution, just all things holy and not killing people. And here's news flash. They don't care about Carmelo Anthony either. They only care about the financial benefit and financial gain and the money that he can bring in before ultimately he goes to prison for a very long time, or he himself is no longer alive. However that happens, I'm not sure, but literally I feel like those are the only two possible scenarios and outcomes that they should expect moving forward. Just being real, just being honest.
And now that the public knows exactly what is going on, I ask, because these racist bigots try to prevent us from standing up for our baby, our boy, he should be afforded the same rights that Kyle Rittenhouse had, Daniel Penna, and all of the people who have claimed whatever their defense was.
Now, this may come off some type of way, but I feel like this dude really is making black people look bad, because as they try to claim this isn't about race, they're actually making it about race. And even though he's sitting up here with a suit and tie on, trying to speak as if he has any form of intelligence, he sounds really stupid in a variety of ways, but more so importantly, focused on this particular 23-second clip we just watched. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I had to. He doesn't even know the other people's cases that he is trying to compare Carmelo Anthony's situation to. Who's Cal? What do you say? Cal Rittenhouse and Daniel Peavy? He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know. All he knows is that, yeah, maybe they introduced a self-defense argument and plea here of not guilty, but you don't know any of the facts. You don't know any of the true story. And it's not just Dominique, because there are other instances circulating on the internet proving my point, specifically from a racial perspective, that black people are doing a great job at making other black people look really freaking stupid.
Name a white person that killed a black person that is not or have not been held accountable in the last 5 years.
George Zimmerman.
George Zimmerman wasn't even white.
Just say one thing. I just want to answer your question. Who killed who or whatnot. Cal Rittenhouse was 17 years old, white boy that murdered two or three black kids in Michigan during a protest. He was acquitted on all charges. Jordan Penny, I think that's his name. He choked out that black homeless man on a train in New York recently. Was also acquitted of charges. So, and
no,
I guess
neither one of those was killed. Stop.
You know, but he was pointing out like why there could be. I know you don't think it's true, but there could be like a sense of white power supremacy in this country, because sometimes when white people do certain crimes, they're not held to the same extent as black people or other people do. And so you were asking him to give names. I gave you two, and one was actually the same age as the guy, the black boy that just killed the white guy. And he was acquitted of all his charges. He was also a 17-year-old white boy in Wisconsin.
Happens all the time.
And it's like, well, why was he acquitted when he actually murdered someone? You all are saying that,
because they didn't murder anybody.
They did, though. What do you mean?
No,
Cal
they
Rittenhouse
didn't.
definitely murdered 2 or 3 people. Are you familiar with the story?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so you can't just make that statement then, because
So
you're
I
not.
absolutely can, because if the court of law determined that they was acquitted of the charges, then that means that he's not a murderer.
No, that means that the system
God.
worked in his favor based on who he was, because that wouldn't have worked.
You can't just automatically say somebody is when they not, when they got tried in a court of law.
Okay, and the law is always fair, right? And the law is always fair, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, it is in this situation.
I'm gonna tap 100%. I'm done now.
Because if the evidence is showing that he's not guilty, then why would I say that he's not guilty?
Who are you speaking
It's
about?
innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Same thing for Daniel Penny. Now, I am familiar with Daniel Penny. I am familiar with what happened on the subway I think it was over in New York, right?
Yeah, it was New York.
I am familiar with Daniel Penny. 100%. And in the case of George Floyd, the police officer, the white police officer who was a part of the blue gang, the blue wall, absolutely got held accountable, and he got convicted, and he's in prison today. And I don't even think that was a race. I don't even think that was a race issue. I believe that was an issue of an individual, a cop, overexerting his power over somebody that should not have been in that position in the first place. But at the same time, he didn't deserve to lose his life.
And so as we read here on the description of this X post, woman on a panel of 10 people claims Kyle Rittenhouse murdered 3 black people, and not a single person fact checks her. My mind is blown at how many people know nothing about the Rittenhouse case. The comments were made during a debate on whether or not Carmelo Anthony should walk free for killing Austin Metcalf. And for those who are unaware, Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty on all 5 charges because he was acting in self-defense. The 2 individuals who were killed were white. The other man who was injured was also white. And yeah, folks. But hear me out, okay? Because we got some comments we need to read from this as well. Take This Viral says, call it what it is, bro. A racist black woman who hates white people is having a tantrum while comparing Carmelo to Kyle. And yes, this was Colin Rugg's original post. And he says it's not her fault. She's brainwashed by the media and doesn't even realize it. And I do remember an overwhelming sense and feel like Kyle Rittenhouse was made out to be, this was a racial hate crime, only to find out that, yeah, the media can't trust them, folks. These people are genuinely living in an entirely different reality, Clay Thompson says. It's absolutely wild to see. Colin Rugg responds with, I would argue that the majority of the country thinks Rittenhouse killed black people. Anton did a good job of pushing back here, but even he was unaware of who the victims were. And we're going to discuss that a little bit more. Ed the Great X says, and one was a pedo, but we should let her speak. Kyle Rugg says, Kyle Rittenhouse killed a violent pedo who was threatening his life. Carmelo Anthony murdered a high schooler because he got grabbed, according to witnesses. And here are your, according to K-Star, 3 black people KR killed, which clearly, obviously, they're black adjacent. Oh, man. But these people have made it to the point that you can't question anyone because you will become condemned and called out as a racist or worse, a Nazi. And you guys already know. You've read the comments that I've shared with you, but there's more. Oh man, there's so much more. And if you want, really dive into the comments on the shorts that I've been posting here recently. We've tapped into a whole new audience over there, and they let their hate be known. RTZ says 10 adults staring at computers with high-speed connections. Not one person considers checking accuracy to the things being discussed. This panel is simply a leftist echo chamber of confirmation bias. Might as well watch The View. Oh, God, no. Please, no. Don't make me watch The View. But he's right. It's an echo chamber of completely leftist, incorrect propaganda and bias, okay? And they write the narrative. They are painting the picture here. And Jack Downing says, I guess it's time to tap that sign again. And he says that at least CNN admitted they lied. But remember, This was part of the bias. This was part of the original reporting. And even in this video clip here of CNN admitting that they lied, so to speak, they doubled down on stupid. They doubled down. Watch.
We learned a lot of things in this trial that we should sort of go over, and I was just kind of reviewing some of the things that we learned in the trial that were not necessarily public knowledge before that. One, there has been a lot of talk, especially by politicians, about where Rittenhouse was the night of this shooting, and it turned out he was already in Kenosha, that he had family here, including his father, that the gun was here in Kenosha. He did not bring that over state lines. It turned out during this trial that we learned that the gun that he had a hold of, he actually could legally possess, according to the judge and according to the law here, because of the measurements of the gun. Had it been shorter and a short-barreled gun, then it would have been illegal, but because it wasn't, the judge said that that needed to be thrown out, and indeed, that charge of a minor in possession of a gun illegally was thrown out in this case. The jury only looking at those who were injured, those who were endangered, and those who were killed the night in August that Rittenhouse ended up shooting people. We also learned that he was working here that night, that he had stayed over that night here, and we saw some video of, for example, Joseph Rosenbaum, the first person that he shot and killed. We saw drone video, high-resolution drone video, that did not come into this case until 5 days into this trial, and that is under contention. There was a mistrial requested because of both what the defense called prosecutorial overreach, and they said they were going to file about this video that appeared very late in the game, the high-resolution version of it. But now none of that matters. They're certainly not going to ask for a mistrial after their client has been acquitted in this case. But we did learn a lot of things from that video because it was very clear what was going on. There was a video of Rosenbaum chasing after Kyle Rittenhouse during this time when he had his gun. And at one point, Rittenhouse levels his gun at Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum continues towards him. And as he gets close to Kyle Rittenhouse fires his gun several times. We learned also in the trial that he was hit 4 times, and obviously this is a AR-style rifle that has the capability of firing very quickly. But we have also learned that in this case, we saw one of the only person who was shot and did not die that night from Kyle Rittenhouse's gun, and we heard from Gage.
Well, thank God we still have Second Amendment rights, right? Leave it to the mainstream media, CNN, and these leftist libtards, we'd be all screwed. We'd be fucked. And I've heard mixed reports and accounts of the weapon of choice for Kyle Rittenhouse, and apparently this was a Smith & Wesson M&P 15, AR-15, not an AK-47, according to some reports. But I think the most important fact of the matter here is, like, CNN couldn't avoid the opportunity to insert unnecessary information. It was an AR-15. It was an AR-style rifle, and of course, you know, those have the capability of firing rapidly. Well, no, they don't. Perhaps maybe a fully automatic M16, but an AR-15 is going to fire just as fast as any other semi-automatic weapon, semi-automatic rifle, or semi-automatic handgun, based on the ability of the human being firing it, okay? This has nothing to do with an assault rifle attack and attack on guns and Second Amendment, which fortunately our president campaigned on, and a promise made, a promise kept.
Mr. President, we're learning that there are now 2 deceased following that shooting at Florida State University. Following and amid that, is there any changes that you want to see to gun legislation? Anything you see broken with gun laws in our country?
I'm going to have to look. I'm a big advocate of the Second Amendment. I have been from the beginning. I protected it, and these things are terrible. But the gun doesn't do the shooting. The people do. It's, you know, a phrase that's used probably too often.
Did you hear that? The gun doesn't do the shooting. The people do. And in case Carmelo Anthony's legal defense team or ridiculously stupid spokesperson needs a reminder, inclement weather doesn't do the stabbing. Even tents don't do stabbings, and better yet, the knives don't do stabbings. People do. Carmelo Anthony did. We know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. He said it. There's actual video footage, and I can only imagine what additional footage and additional witnesses will come forward once the trial begins, similar to Kyle Rittenhouse, that the innocent victims here, the Metcalf family, uh, sadly, mourning, have to defend themselves seemingly in this situation, are definitely not going to show their hand, and they're operating at a much higher level of intelligence than obviously the true defendant is in this case, being prosecuted here.
I will tell you that it's a shame. I'm just hearing about it now. I just hear about it. I know the area very well. I know the school very well. I know everything about it. It's Florida. And we'll have more to say about it later. I have
What
to
do
see
you
what
mean when
happens.
you say there will be more to say about it?
Only in terms of what happened. As far as legislation is concerned, this has been going on for a long time. I have an obligation to protect the Second Amendment. I ran on the Second Amendment, among many other things, and I will always protect the Second Amendment.
Media, get your grubby paws off of our guns. Stay away. Stay the fuck away. Media can stay as far away from our guns as they are attempting to stay away from exactly what President Trump is even referring to and talking about, which is this heinous shooting that occurred at FSU. Now, obviously, the media doesn't want to talk about it because it makes them look bad. You can take a wild guess at what kind of demographics the shooter would fall into the category of, but even better yet, the mainstream media even pulls away from President Trump addressing this in the Oval Office to then talk over him, so that sadly their audience is completely left in the dark. Tim Pool shockingly says, watch, the moment Trump begins to provide proof of Abrego Garcia's illegal presence and gang membership, mainstream MSNBS cuts away. Got to keep people in the dark. And whether it's illegal immigrants and MS-13 gangs or FSU school shootings, they don't want people to know. They don't want us even talking about it. They don't like what we are doing here, but what we are doing here is a good thing, a great thing, and highlighting, unfortunately, tragedy, but most importantly, exposing the hypocrisy and bringing the truth to light here.
In 2019, Garcia was issued a deportation order. Two separate judges affirmed Garcia was a member of MS-13, which is a gang that may be even worse.
We've been watching President Donald Trump there swearing in the new administrator of the CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, Dr. Mehmet Oz, during this conversation.
And I already know that I've probably already ruffled some feathers in the comments section, and some of the things that I've said and shared are absolutely triggering folks who completely missed the message, which is good. Because now I want to share with you even further developments of the story from the perspective of it's not just black people making black people look bad. It's white people making white people look bad. It's black people and white people making all sorts of other people, more than likely, typically left of center, libtard, woke mind virus infected Democrats, looking completely stupid, looking absolutely fucking retarded. You're not going to believe this one. You're not going to believe this one.
If Jesus were alive today and in the United States, this administration would have already taken him and removed him from this country without due process, claimed he was a member of the MS-13 gang as a way to try to justify not giving him due process, as if there is any justifiable reason to not giving somebody due process. But yeah, some people don't want to talk about that. It truly is baffling how clear and laid out everything is, and there is still people standing by it. I believe in the good of people and like humanity, humans, deep down at our core, like we care about each other. But that's really being tested, because how anyone is okay with this is terrifying to me. But yeah, if you look like me, speak up, speak out, because we might be the only ones safe from what's coming and some of the only people that are able to stop it. So yeah, it's our duty at this point.
Wow. Due process. I feel like, didn't this dude already go through due process to the point of which he was already facing deportation anyway? I feel like that's the case, but I don't have it pulled up in front of me to show you guys. And, it's almost like as we continue to go round and round and travel further down this deep, deep, dark rabbit hole, we just continue to go full circle, and we would be here forever discussing and talking about this. The left, Tim Walz's daughter here. Sadly, I do think that she has a future in politics, and she will exploit that opportunity. And we're going to see a whole lot more from her than not, sadly. Ironically, 6 degrees of separation here. Colin Rugg shares this one. New Minnesota government fiscal policy analyst busted for causing $20,000 total in damages to multiple Teslas. But get this. 33-year-old Dylan Brian Adams works for the state of Minnesota Department of Human Services under none other than Governor Tim Walz. Adams was arrested after multiple Tesla cameras caught a man slashing the cars. According to his LinkedIn page, Adams has been working for the state of Minnesota for nearly 7 years. He graduated from Johns Hopkins University in 2014, and these are the people that I guess, I'm not sure what Tim Walz's daughter's name is. I don't know what her name is, but that she refers to as the good people in the world, of this world. Essentially, that President Trump is against and would fall into the same category as Jesus, that the Trump administration would deport without due process. Yeah, about that. But wait, there's more, because there's always more, right? And this one here, as we travel east of Minnesota to New York, Brooklyn family therapist accused of leaving a swastika-marked brick on a Tesla blamed Elon Musk for her actions during her arrest. How could this be the fault of Elon Musk? Did he procure this brick? Did he collect this brick? Did he mark this brick with a swastika and then throw it in the bed of a Tesla Cybertruck? Natasha Cohen, 46, was released on her own recognizance after being arraigned on hate crime charges. Cohen has worked in private practice for over 20 years, specializing in therapy for children, adolescents, and families. Sounds like she's going to need her own, and even her patients probably should be reevaluated, sadly. And she has advanced training in maternal mental health and cells therapy, worksheets, and resources for issues like ADHD, anxiety, and body dysmorphia. And we're going to stick with New York here for a second because I want to show you something about Big Tish. But I was actually thinking about this earlier today, and it's just like, these people are crazy. These people are insane. And yet they speak as though they are not. They talk and they hold these little press conferences, and they stand in front of these podiums and have these microphones, and they want to make it seem like we're the ones who are lost. We're the ones who are mentally unstable and deranged. And that isn't anything further from the truth. I'm going to show you this one here. And this one here says, quote, "You are all transphobic pieces of shit, and I hope you burn in hell. Hail Satan," they say, as they storm off out of this meeting here. "You're afraid of people being their true selves." You damn right. If that's who y'all are, be afraid. Be very afraid. "What is your message to these people?" asks American Papa Bear. "Trans ideology is actually the opposite of being your true self, but please tell me more. Tell me more." And we see this guy here dressed up as some sort of pseudo bunny or rabbit or some sort of animal here. And he says, quote, "My 7-year-old son is in the middle of medically transitioning. 7-year-old son is in the middle of medically transitioning. My son Carl realized she was a girl, and now her name is Carla. Now Trump and JD Vance are going to stop my kid getting the hormones that they need. This is child abuse, plain and simple. Change my mind." Well, wouldn't you think that what your children need would be provided by their mother just naturally? Don't you think that what your children need, the hormones, would more than likely come from the Almighty up above? Call me crazy, but maybe your child isn't confused. Maybe you are. Maybe you made the wrong choice by naming them Carl. You ever think about that? Now, I'm just being facetious here. I'm trying to make light of the situation, which is an absolute joke, considering, but in no way, shape, or form for the future of this young child whose life is ultimately going to be destroyed by this parental figure who is absolutely fucking up their life by interjecting in just nature, just, all things holy, common sense, basic common core principles. But at the same time, these are the same people who want to stand on their high horse, on their soapbox, and pound their chest and try to blame the state of Texas for not shutting down a track meet because it was raining, and that led to Carmelo Anthony stabbing someone in the heart and killing them. Albeit he's a minor and he should be tried as a minor because guess what? He's 17. He's not an adult. He's no way in any way, shape, or form capable of making these decisions on his own. And he should have some representation, perhaps his mother, perhaps some other convict felon speak for him on his behalf because he's a minor. His brain isn't fully developed. He cannot. Yeah, come on, guys. Right? Yet at the same time, they'll say a 7-year-old can tell you that they want to be a girl instead of a boy, and you need to permanently disrupt their lifestyle, permanently disrupt their future, their life, their body, their hormones, their mental state. The effects will be long lasting. And odds are that 7-year-old didn't say that. You said that. You forced that on that child, and they will have to live with your fuck up for the rest of their lives.
My message is simple. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law.
Artist changes. And like I said, we were going to stick with New York for a little bit. And no one is above the law. I got a quick update here on AG Big Tish.
Good to see you, Ms. James. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Errol.
Absolutely. What is going on here? Did anybody contact you before this letter went out accusing you of this, that, and the other and making a criminal referral about real estate transactions?
No, not at all. And let me just say to all New Yorkers and to all Americans, the allegations are baseless. The allegations are nothing more than a revenge tour. And as you mentioned, my office was successful in securing a $454 million judgment against Donald Trump and others for exaggerating the value of his assets. He engaged in a pattern and practice of fraud. And the interest is accruing each and every day while the case is on appeal in the First Department. It's important that individuals know that this is nothing more than the continuation of the tour. He went after law firms, universities, immigrants, women. Thousands of federal employees right now are unemployed. Our government is in chaos and in disarray. Medicaid, Social Security, CFPB, and the list goes on and on and on. And as you know, as you mentioned, each and every day, my office is leading the fight against these executive orders, which have no legal import at all, have no legal significance. And we are standing up for the rights and privileges of New Yorkers and Americans. I will not be silenced. I will not be bullied. I will not bend. I will not break. And I will not bow to anyone. No one is above the law, including the President of these United States.
Okay.
Well, the Office of the Attorney General will continue to stand up.
Let me follow up of some of what's in this this letter. It says according to media reports, which for us in the media is kind of a red flag, meaning that it seems to be based on some social media posts that I know were made by partisan political actors. But just let me ask you about some of the specifics in the letter. They're saying that your house in Brooklyn is a legal 5-family and the mortgage on it is for a 4-family house. Is that true?
So let me just say that, Errol, you know, as any good attorney, I will not litigate this case in a camera. It's important that we will respond to these allegations at the appropriate time and in an appropriate way. But I will not go back and forth with respect to these baseless allegations. I am more focused again on standing up for the freedoms, the liberties, and for the rule of law in the state of New York.
I was under the impression by all of this that what they were really looking for is what they got, which is a headline saying, Tish James is under a criminal investigation. Is that pretty much what's going on here?
Yeah, that's what they got. That's what they got. And it's unfortunate that you have some of these right-wing conservative individuals who are camped out in front of my home and in front of the homes of my relatives in Virginia, harassing them each and every day. And it's unfortunate, knocking on the doors of my neighbors and the neighbors of my relatives in the state of Virginia. And it is nothing more than a headline. Nothing more than, again, retaliation against all of the actions that I have taken successfully against Donald Trump.
Okay.
And Amy says poetic justice. New York Attorney General Letitia James is desperately seeking donations of up to $18,000 per person as she prepares to fight her mortgage fraud prosecution, where she could face 30 years in prison and $1 million and $1 million in fines. Yet, there is a cost, okay? There is a cost here, and it's going to cost people 18 grand. Who would donate $18,000 to help Letitia James fight off fraud? Who would do that? Let me know. Who in the world would do such a thing?
He should be afforded the same right. Nobody in the public media has one video camera, but we got the video of Kyle Rittenhouse with an AK-47 shooting 3 people in the back. We got that.
What? I mean, that is just a flat out blatant lie.
And big shout out to Liberal Hive Mind for getting me so amped up, so fired up today. I honestly did not plan on talking about this, bringing it up. Liberal Hive Mind, you guys, your comments. This video is going on like it is now 5:35, folks. I started this video this morning, and we've had quite a long day. More than I care to discuss, but long story short, it looks like we're going to be making a road trip here soon to pick up a new car. I'll be sharing that story on another channel on a different video, and my take on what's happening in the car market right now. But more importantly, like this just continues to evolve. Right now, I'm sitting at 52 minutes, almost 53 minutes on this edit, and I don't know when I'm going to stop. I'm just going to keep going. Because there's so much that I want to bring and share with you guys.
Kyle Rittenhouse was chased, assaulted, cornered, shot at, hit with a skateboard. He tried disengaging from the crowd that was chasing him to the extent that it looked like he ran more than a football field's distance away from the initial encounter. He was running away and only shot at the absolute last second when he was being assaulted with a skateboard, and another absolute lunatic was pointing a handgun in his face. But this absolute grifter clown has the audacity to claim that he shot 3 people in the back. What is going on? And again, what kind of defense is this? Comparing that incident to Carmelo, who got touched once from what we understand and then stabbed somebody in the heart? Give me a break. That's not self-defense. That is an execution. And then, of course, the grift continues. This one's not surprising in the least.
And that is your constitutional right? It's people out here reminding us of the black struggle in America.
Yeah, pulling the race card. Dominique Alexander claims that all the criticism that the family and he and Carmelo Anthony are receiving, well, it's all racial in nature. Going on about, well, this is just the black experience in America, reminding us of the black struggle in America. What is going on? I mean, think about how insulting that is, too. As a black person, to be using that legacy, the real struggles, the actual injustices that black people have faced historically, and then using that struggle and that dark history to defend a kid who stabbed somebody to death because he was asked to leave a tent that he was not invited to. It's unbelievable. Like I was saying in the intro, every single day it gets so much worse than the day prior. I'd actually like a break from this nonsense. My brain hurts. I've never seen anything like it. It is downright disrespectful. And actually, speaking of disrespectful, we might as well use that as a segue to the last part here. So interestingly enough, Austin Metcalf's...
It is downright disrespectful, but respect went out the window when Carmelo Anthony chose to instigate a situation, bring a weapon that, if you really want to make comparisons here about Kyle Rittenhouse, well, I hate to break it to you. I hate to break it to the Anthonys here, but as Liberal Hive Mind has already pointed out, Carmelo Anthony's defense just fucked up. They fucked up real bad. I mean, you really want to make the, and who allowed Dominique to be the spokesperson here? They should really proofread everything that he's going to say. They should not allow him to have a hot mic and go live. But if you really want to make the comparison, I mean, Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted because he wasn't illegally in possession of a weapon, and I would argue that Carmelo Anthony was. I mean, based on the information that was provided, I mean, he brought a weapon to a school sporting event, a track meet. He had it hidden in his backpack, and God forbid that blade is over 5.5 inches. You know what I'm saying? But either way, it is disrespectful. Typical liberal and angry black women tactics. Always attack character than facts. But mental slavery is truly at its highest. This is in response to Carmelo Anthony's mother and a little bit of Jasmine Crockett mixed in there. And then we got Senator Chris Van Hollen. We're going to talk more about him later. Shut up! Damn dog. Shaking my head. They support gatekeepers and house slaves, but black people are waking up from the hypnotic spell. I truly believe slavery started the day the chains were released, and all cultures and ethnicities have forced each other in some kind of forced labor. From wars to domination, or they just could, but the mind is what you need for it to be effective. Republicans won the Civil War battle, but the old Dixie Democrats have thus far been winning the war when it comes to Black America. It's like Stockholm Syndrome, LOL, and ethnic narcissism. However, there are some really, really good instances of some folks out there who truly get it. They understand it. They have a great head on their shoulders. And you may have seen this one posted on Squirrel Tribe's X earlier, but I've got this to share with you here. And it says, Austin Metcalf's father dismantled Carmelo Anthony's self-defense claim with a single act. While Anthony's mother wept publicly, claiming fear for her son who killed 17-year-old Metcalf after refusing to leave a restricted area, Metcalf's father mirrored the scenario. He did. He appeared uninvited at Anthony's press conference, stood silently with one arm in a sling, and refused to leave when asked twice. Security escorted him out without violence. In contrast, when Metcalf asked Anthony to leave and attempted to escort him, Anthony stabbed him in the heart after threatening, "Touch me and see what happens." Metcalf's father's nonviolent defiance exposed Anthony's lethal choice, undermining his self-defense narrative as his family plays victim while another buries their child. And this is all recorded. This is all on video. This is all going to be brought up during the trial. And Real Talk with Precious gives us 6 major red flags from the Carmelo Anthony family and why they shouldn't have done that press conference on April 17, 2025. You guys want to go through all 6? You want to go through all 6 together? Let's go.
So I just watched that entire press conference from Carmelo Anthony's family, you know, the 17-year-old who killed the other 17-year-old at the track meet. Yeah, him. And honestly, I don't think they should have done this press conference at all. I think it did them more harm than good. Here are the 6 major red flags that I heard. Number 1, they started off bad by kicking out Austin Metcalf's dad. Yeah, the dad to the kid who actually died showed up, and they found that to be inappropriate and had police actually escort him off the grounds. Now, I understand that maybe it's a little bit odd or weird that he would just show up and maybe you feel intimidated by that. However, he is the father of the victim who actually passed away. They went as far as to say that him showing up to the press conference was disrespectful to the dignity of Austin Metcalf.
The father being at this press conference is a disrespect to the dignity of his son.
What an insane statement to make. You guys are the ones who should be showing him some respect. I get that it's a tough situation for both sides, but at least your son is still alive. 2, the amount of name dropping that the spokesperson did for his company was egregious.
The Next Generation Action Network has been here.
He said Next Generation Action Network like 12 different times. I had to stop counting after a certain point. Are you here to plug your company or here to support the family? Pick one. 3, having the audacity to blame the school for the actual death. Yeah, he said that the school should be held accountable for not actually canceling the meet because of the rain.
I'm trying to find how many of y'all have asked the superintendent or one single board of trustee, why didn't you cancel or postpone with weather in that magnitude? You couldn't have a track meet in rain.
All right. So based on this logic, all that really means is that Carmelo Anthony would have postponed the killing and done it on a day that perhaps maybe was clear and a lower percentage of rain and maybe sunshine. Yeah. Maybe he preferred to do the killing on a day that had better weather. Is that what it was? Is that what it is? If there was no rain, then there would have been no tent, then there would have been no opportunity. So the weather and the rain created this attractive nuisance that would then drive Carmelo Anthony underneath a tent that he shouldn't be in. And although he didn't behave in the same manner of which Austin Metcalf's father did when asked to leave somewhere theoretically he shouldn't have been, which is disrespectful, apparently, to the dignity of those there, or not in his case. He didn't. He instead instigated the situation. He was the antagonist, and ultimately, someone lost their life because of this. And I guess the only logical scenario here is just because the track meet wasn't canceled due to bad weather.
Or thunderstorm or clouds.
Apparently, he doesn't know that oftentimes athletes will perform in the rain. And guess what? 99.9% of the time, they're able to go home without having any stab wounds to the chest.
Wasn't he an athlete? Wasn't Dominique Atkins or Antonio? What's this guy's name? Dominique. What's this? Well, I keep forgetting this guy's name. Alexander. Wasn't he an athlete? I thought he was.
Then they even had the audacity to try to complain about the school wanting to expel Carmelo for, killing someone.
But Frisco ISD has notified of their intent to expel Carmelo Anthony from school 1 month before his high school graduation. That just shows me that Frisco ISD is trying to push off the blame.
Like, what planet are you living on? You can't bring a weapon onto school grounds, pull it out, stab someone, and then just be expected to walk at your graduation next week. Like, no, it doesn't work that way, buddy. Then we got to talk about the tone of the mom's message.
I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in the laws of this state. But those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us.
Now, I get it. She's distraught. Apparently, she's got all these death threats coming at her and her family, which is horrible, and those people are absolutely disgusting. However, Austin Metcalf's family also has death threats being thrown at them because a lot of people in America are garbage. But the fact that she went up to that podium and was pretty much yelling at everyone, was so angry, it just doesn't come across the right way. Austin Metcalf is dead. You don't get to act like you're the bigger victim in the situation. I'm sorry, but most of the public is not going to view it that way. And lastly, they are racializing the hell out of this case. There were so many racial undertones in the commentary that was being made.
Black people in America don't have to pull the race card. It's what we live as a reality every day.
False. 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 Look, I get it. I understand. It's a game to be played, okay? In every game you want to play to win. And like I told you guys before, it's always about the money. It's all about the money. I get it. But I'm going to call it out. I'm going to call it like I see it. And this reminds me of actually the Democrats' campaign, Kamala's campaign, the left's campaign, the media's campaign, because the media was campaigning. You got to think about it. $2 billion spent, and the media all trying to beat President Trump, and they lost. But here's the thing: they had no ground game. Okay, they had nothing. Okay, and literally couldn't debate a topic or present their own strategy, their plan, carry on in everyday normal occurrences in life without saying President Trump's name. I have to say that in this instance here, Carmelo Anthony and his defense team and his spokesperson, Dominique here, and everyone else trying to become the bigger victim here, even though they're all still alive. And Austin Metcalf, as we know, didn't do anything wrong to deserve to be dead, cannot engage in any meaningful conversation on its own, but yet without including black people, black people, black people, black people. They won't do it. They can't. And that's another reason why they're going to lose.
I ain't pulling no race card. I live it. I'm reminded all the time that I'm a black man in America.
I get it. Being black in America comes with its own set of challenges. I would never deny that. However, I don't see what race has to do with this situation. Even if Austin Metcalf said racial things towards Carmelo Anthony, it would still not excuse him pulling out a knife and stabbing him in the heart. So bringing up race in these matters and acting like that's why people have an issue with your son doing that is ridiculous. And it actually holds the black community back further because it makes it look like we're always complaining about ridiculous things when we should clearly be able to say that wrong is wrong.
Not that I would wish that this would happen, but I would definitely be interested to see how this whole event would progress and carry on if Carmelo Anthony had stabbed and killed some other black student. You see what I'm saying? What would be the talking point then?
Carmelo Anthony deserves a fair trial. Absolutely. Do I still believe that his self-defense claim is a little bit ridiculous? Yes, I do. Do I reserve the right to say that I'm wrong if something crazy comes out in the trial and there's some piece of evidence that we didn't know about? Yeah, sure. But as of right now, I don't see what that would be. The fact that the family is even deciding to give this press conference and not just wait for the trial shows that they clearly care about public perception. So do you think that this press conference helped them with that, or did it just make things worse for them? Let me know in the comment section below.
See, the public perception and help or hurt is subjective because, again, I am entirely, wholeheartedly, completely convinced that they're only doing this for the money. That's it. Period.
This entire circus, I mean, it's one of the most disrespectful, most shameless displays I think I've ever witnessed. The new house, the Escalade, the t-shirts, the Give, Send, Go fundraiser, and just the general attempt here to desperately try to flip the narrative and flip the script to paint the perpetrator as the victim, and not to mention at the center of it all, using this Dominique Alexander character, a convicted felon with a rap sheet a mile long, as the face of this PR campaign, and now parading him around as he pretends to be a civil rights leader fighting over a supposed injustice. I feel like I'm in a frickin' South Park episode. It's one of the most surreal experiences I've ever had covering anything on this channel. It's just also baffling and I can't wrap my frickin' head around it. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you guys for watching. This is, in fact, a completely surreal experience. I am baffled, not only by Carmelo Anthony and that exchange there, but pretty much everything that's going on, pushed and propagated by the left, and the just ludicrous insanity, lunacy that they live by. And I don't know how these people do it. I really don't. I'm going to share these last two with you, and then I'm going to share with you a little message that I received on an email.
Hit Van Hollen. Rachel Morin was a constituent of his who was murdered, and he didn't call her mother. He did not do this level of outreach, but for a man who was illegally here in the United States, he is pouring over himself, flying abroad to make sure that this man is taken care of. But his actual constituents, the citizens of the United States, those people didn't matter to him. So Republicans will continue to win this argument because Van Hollen and Democrats just don't get it.
Well, I actually, no, I think it's a great story if you're saying people grabbed off the street without.
But, Congressman, I'll ask you, did Democrats pick the wrong hero?
We don't know because there was no due process. We actually have not seen the evidence go
What happened to
before
believe all
a
women?
judge. Pardon me?
What happened to believe all women?
Well, you know, I don't know about that. All I know is that he did not have due process. He did not go before a judge. When he did go before a judge, everybody said, keep him here, don't send him back because there are gangs that are, you know, it's a peril to his life. He did have a court order that allowed him to stay here. The Trump administration deported him anyway.
The silence is deadening. What happened to all believe all women. What happened to that? I don't know. If the Democrats pick this dude as their hero, they're completely fucked up. But we already knew that, right? And now that I think about it, I'm curious, does anybody know if the Metcalf family, or at least Austin Metcalf's father, is he Democrat or is he Republican? I'm just kind of curious. And is Carmelo Anthony and his family, are they Democrat or Republican? Obviously, we can make judgment here, guess and assumptions, but I'm kind of curious about that one. But this email seems to be right on time. And ironically, it didn't come from Sarah, which really, Sarah, where you at? Where you at? I'm just playing. Bias is human, but journalism must still be guided by truth. Every journalist, every newsroom, every outlet has some degree of bias. Even I do, period. Like, I'm not going to pretend that I don't. I think my bias tends to lean towards like intelligence and just like rationale and logic, but be that as it may, journalism, real journalism, is rooted in something far deeper than personal opinion, a commitment to truth, integrity, and the public good, which I feel like I try to do in every video as best as I can tell from my ability, because like I told you guys before, believe half of what you see, none of what you hear. There's always three sides to every story. Trust but verify. You can disagree with a reporter's tone or framing, but if you can't trust that they value truth over chaos, fact over fiction, and respect over rage, then they are not journalists. They are ideologues with a microphone. And I don't think that I'm a journalist. I'm just a regular guy talking to you like regular people, assuming like y'all get me. That's it. I'm not a journalist. I'm not going out shoving microphones in people's faces and digging deep into investigations. I just kind of like take what we're served and then evaluate it and talk about it with you guys. Rebel News and Juno News are not part of a media ecosystem. They are part of an extremist infrastructure. They don't report, they inflame. They don't question, they provoke, and they don't represent Canadians. They weaponize fear to divide them. Interesting where this email came from. But we could replace Rebel News and Juno News with CNN and MSNBC if we wanted to, right?
Congressman Ivey, thank you for being here. There is, I've been talking about this all week, but Janae Nelson of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, she penned an op-ed in The Nation this week. And her op-ed talked about that we think that democracies are... the way they die is dramatically through these wars and blood is shed, and it's cinematic in a sense. But really, the realistic way in which democracies die is that it's dismantled brick by brick, piece by piece. And she says that what we are seeing now with the lawlessness from this administration are really the canaries in the coal mine gasping for air. I'm paraphrasing here. But to me, that is why Kilmar Abrego Garcia's specific case, the case of the gentleman who's a makeup artist out of California who was also sent to that prison. That is why the 75% of the folks who have been sent, the men who have been sent there that don't have criminal records, that is why this is so important. Because if they could do it to them, if they could snatch students off the street without any pushback or recourse, they will do it to any of us. To be very clear, it's going to be the people of color and vulnerable communities that are next in line.
I think that's right, and that's certainly part of why the African-American community is so strongly behind the supporting Kilmar.
Yeah, we're like, we are not for this.
Yeah, because as you just said, if they're going to whisk them away, what are they going to do with us? But the other point, too, though, is the constitutional aspect of this, because Kilmar's case has already gone up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court sent an order basically saying facilitate his return. The Trump administration is trying not to do that. They're dragging their heels at every step of the way on that. And now we've got another track with Judge Boasberg where he's talking about moving forward with criminal contempt against the Trump administration. So we've got a separation of powers conflict here between the judiciary and the executive branch, and we need to make sure that we back up the judiciary. He started attacking individual judges with threats of impeachment. You had House Republicans actually file articles of impeachment against some of these judges, 6 versions of it. So we've got to make sure we stand with them and support them. And especially interesting is you know, some of these Supreme Court rulings are coming from, or high court rulings are coming from very conservative judges. The Fourth Circuit ruling the other day was from Harvey Wilkinson, maybe the Anton Scalia of the Fourth Circuit. And then the previous one with Kilmar, I believe, was a 9-zip, if I'm right. So you get Clarence and Alito on with, you know, Ketanji. That says something, and we got to make sure that we support them in this effort.
There's a deeper problem here. These groups aren't just yelling from the sidelines anymore. They're getting press passes. They're asking questions at debates. They're shaping the conversation, sadly. They've infiltrated public discourse by wearing the costume of journalism, but beneath the surface is something much darker, a coordinated, well-funded campaign to erode public trust, legitimize hate, and radicalize the disillusioned. We need to stop treating them as journalists. We need to stop giving them the mic, and we need to stay with clarity and conviction. This is not journalism. This is extremism. Thanks for reading, and thanks for watching. I'd love to know what you guys have to say, think, your take. I can't wait to read all your comments. Make sure you check out the links down below in the description. And as always, give Chapter a call for your free Medicare consultation. Free Medicare help from Chapter. Our partner, dial 270-467-2426 or visit askchapter.org/Kevin and get your free Medicare help now. Save some money. At the very least, at least get the peace of mind knowing that the plan that you're on is in fact, the very best plan that you could have. None of the bias, none of the BS, none of the nonsense, just the truth. Call Chapter, our partner, for free Medicare help, a free Medicare consultation, 270-467-2426, and tell them Kevin sent you. And make sure you come back and leave a comment so that I can share your experience and the money savings opportunities that you guys found out about in the next video. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed the video, if you like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. And even if you have, make sure you still are, because YouTube likes to play their games. See you guys on the next one. Take care.